What you have here, church, is a shepherd teaching shepherds on how to be shepherds. And in case you didn't know it, I am a pastor, yes indeed, but you are all shepherds as well. Every last one of you are a shepherd. So this is a shepherd teaching other shepherds on how to shepherd the sheep, or how to feed the flock of God. How to feed the sheep that belong to the chief shepherd, Jesus Christ. And so before we dig into the text much more, I have to ask you, how many of you understand sheep? Now, Bruce is the only one here that I know that actually raises sheep, and I think Wayne helps him out every once in a while. Anybody else here raise sheep? You have sheep? Not right now? Okay. Excellent. So I know at least 3 people in here who work with sheep. How many of you know that you are sheep in the eyes of God? Oh, come on. How many of you know that you are sheep in the eyes of God? Okay, thank you. Because there's a very definite reason why we have to recognize why God sees us as sheep, and we're going to ask those people who have worked with sheep whether or not sheep are easy to work with. Okay? And so in order to understand what God is trying to say to us about feeding the sheep and the understanding that we are all shepherds, we really have to understand sheep in order to be a shepherd, don't we? Okay. You can't be a mechanic unless you understand a car, right? You can't make an apple pie unless you understand how to turn on an oven, right? Well, you can't be a sheep without understanding the animal you're working with. All right? So, wow. All right. A few questions about sheep. Are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to understand the animal we're working with. Keep in mind, God sees us as sheep. All right? Here we go. Can a sheep that is cast, meaning completely on their backs, can that sheep get up on its own? No. You know, there's a God in heaven who heard all of you answer that. The answer is not likely. You see, it takes a shepherd to do the right. In fact, even after a shepherd has righted the sheep, some breeds of sheep require that the shepherd stay close by for a few moments in order for the sheep to finally trust its footing. Now let me ask you, if the shepherd sees a sheep on his back and continually commands, "Don't be afraid, get up already, what's your problem?" Using cheap words. Is that sheep going to get up? Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Either God is wrong when he sees us as sheep, or he's right. So why do we think that we can command a sheep that is cast on its back to simply get up? Are you going to tell me we don't do that? So a shepherd's commanding the sheep completely cast on his back. Get up! Why are you on your back? Don't be afraid. Get up already. What's the sheep going to do? It's going to lie there. And if it lies there long enough, what happens to it? It dies. Well, you guys are getting it already. You see, the sheep require action. Action from the shepherds. You're all shepherds. And action is far more beneficial than a slew of cheap words and archaic commandments. Next question about sheep. Can a sheep that is worn down the grazing grass in its meaty area seek out grass grazing for itself somewhere else? This is a trick question. Think about it. Can it seek its own grass? Well, the answer is yes, but only if it has been there before. What if there's a drought and the usual grazing is shoddy at best and a new place to eat must be located? Will the sheep go to that new place? No, you won't. You won't just go. But what if the shepherd commands the sheep, look, sheep, go 1 mile east and turn right at the dilly mark. There's a whole field of clover there. Just go on, best eating around. Will the sheep mosey on down to the Billy Mark church? No. Of course not. The sheep's not going to go eat at the Dilly Mark. But yet, we act as if they would. You see, the sheep need the shepherd. And you are each and every one of us, sheep and shepherds. The sheep need the shepherd to take them to the food. And the taking is done by action, and very rarely, if ever, requires any words. But words are used. And Wayne went for the stick. Now I'm getting nervous. And now finally, the final and most probably the most interesting thing about shepherds, sheep, and what a shepherd says to sheep. When does a good shepherd use words? Now I can think of when a bad shepherd would use words, but at the same time he's using those words, he's probably using a foot. You know what I'm saying? When I'm using a foot, you're all looking down a little bit. So look, this is what I mean when I'm using a foot. When does a good shepherd use words with a sheep? I've done a little bit of research on this, and I've discovered that there has only been 3 areas in which I found that good shepherds tend to use words with their sheep. 3 areas where a good shepherd will use words with their sheep. We're all shepherds and we're all sheep. There's 3 areas where words are used. Would you like to know what those areas are? 1 or 2 of you? Or the rest of you just have to listen. The 3 areas of usage are in directing to food, in calming the sheep down, and in calling sheep home. Only 3 areas where words are used. Directing to food, calming sheep down, and calling sheep home. Now the Good Shepherd, Jesus Christ, makes this very evident. Within this very book that we call the Holy Bible, I find man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. You see, the Good Shepherd shows us where the food is. Jesus said, do not be afraid. Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Indicating by no uncertain terms that the Good Shepherd is there to bring comfort to his sheep. He's very good at calming us down with his presence, isn't he? And Jesus said, look, if you understand nothing else about this ministry I have done before you for 3.5 years, if you've understood nothing else, look, I'm going to prepare a place for you. I'm going to prepare a place just for you. You're not looking at me, church. I'm pointing my fingers, but you know, it looks like I'm pointing at you, and because I am, as individuals, Jesus Christ says this to you. Put your name in there. Bruce, Jesus says to you, I'm going to prepare a place for Bruce. For Archie. For you all, as individuals. Jesus says, I'm going to prepare a place for you. Why? So that where I am, you can be as well. It's called home. And the Good Shepherd So how do we apply this as a church full of shepherds and a church full of sheep? You know, there's so many messages that come from so many pulpits, of so many churches, and so many variations, and so many requirements, and so many expectations, and so many ways that so many of us might know one place. Called home. We can talk about our sincerest passions. We can exalt in our commitments just like Peter did. And Peter learned what I think many of us already know. Words are cheap and rarely cost us anything. You see, you can holler, you can cajole, you can command, you can dictate to another human being until you're absolutely blue in the face. You do it all day and actually think. I'm going to use a word. You can actually be arrogant enough to think that in your educated eloquence or by your amplified vocal authoritarianism, you can do what only the Spirit of God can do to change another human being's heart. Your words cannot change anything, church. And by saying you are a Christian, no more makes you one than Peter saying he would never deny Christ, made him faithful to Christ. You have a better chance of changing a burned out light bulb by commanding it to change than you do to change another man's heart, or even your own. Have you not read or have you not heard Proverbs 27, verse 22? Though you grind a fool in a mortar, grinding them like grain with a pestle, you will not remove their folly from them. And so in the end, who's the bigger fool? Is it the fool or the fool who tries to change them by a supposed educated argument? Proverbs 12:15, the way of the fool is right in their own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. The point is, church, words always have been, words always will be, cheap. And cheaply used. If you want to feed the sheep, if you want to change the world, you must be the example. You must show the example. You must live the example. And the example is Christ. Christ alone can direct us to the Word of God. It is Christ alone of who it is said, if he is lifted up, all sheep will follow him. It is Christ alone who says, I am the good shepherd, and my sheep will hear my voice, and they will obey me, because they will know it is me. So bottom lining this study from Peter, the good shepherd shows the sheep the good shepherd and leads the sheep by the good shepherd's example. And I hope you understand the good shepherd is Jesus Christ. And so in closing today, I would like to offer you a bit of wisdom or a principle that is often misquoted and attributed to have originated with St. Francis of Assisi. He didn't say this, but no one truly knows, so think what you like. The principle remains the same as good. Here it is. Be ready always to preach the gospel.